Okay, next here. Gibson. Are we focused? Gibson P-90 bridge, 1958. Well, that's a nice pickup to have here. Okay, seems microphonic, cracked bobbin, makes sound but no reading on meter. Harsh and brittle sounding. Okay, I can tell you right now there's two things that might be. The experience is worth so much in doing this. One, it's a broken coil that is capacitively coupled and still passing sound, but it's capacitively coupled, so it's filtering itself, and it's not properly conducting. So when that happens, you can have a break in a coil, but because all those layers are still wrapped on top of each other, it acts as if it were a inductor. So it's more like a transformer, where you've got your generated signal in one part of the coil isn't directly electrically coupled to the other part of the coil, but it is inductively coupled, magnetically coupled. So you're still getting a signal there. And then depending where the break is, you're also perhaps creating some signal in the other part of the coil, but it's not going to sound right because the coil is disconnected from hot and or ground, depending which way you look at it. And the capacitive aspect of it is also probably filtering itself. So you're getting some frequencies at a very low volume, and it's going to sound weak and thin, and by comparison, the signal to noise ratio is going to be trashed. So it's going to have a lot of noise. You're going to have to turn it up, and it's going to squeal and make everything he said there could be that. Also, because it's a P-90, if your two P-90 magnets are oriented the way they're supposed to be, which is going to be south towards the center, south surface, south service, pole screws here, south, south. If one of them is flipped, so now you're south, south, and you've got north and south in the center, then the pickup's canceling itself out magnetically. So that can also be a really weak and thin sound, very bright, and you'll have to turn the amp up a lot. Your signal to noise ratio is going to be thrashed because of it. So that's a possibility. I would lean towards the first because he said there's no reading on a meter. That's exactly what happens, because how does a meter read? Well, it sends electricity out of one of these probes and it receives it on the other end. So you are sending a signal out from one to the other and completing a circuit, and then the meter measures how hard it is to push through that circuit, basically, the difference between what it's sending and what it's getting, to tell you the resistance, if you're measuring resistance. If you have a break in that circuit, so you're connecting one to the other, in the case of a coil, connecting one, thousands and thousands of turns around to the other, if you have a break in there somewhere, you get nothing, because this is sending a DC voltage out of one and into the other, and if there's a break in that coil, there is no capacitive coupling of DC because capacitors block DC. There is no inductive coupling of DC because inductors work with AC. Now, how's it going to make sound though? Well, sound is not DC. Have I mentioned how misleading DC resistance is regarding guitar pickup coils? I may have. If I haven't, take note. You get no reading, but you do get sound, okay? Well, guitar pickups don't work on DC. They work on AC. So that all makes sense. Maybe we should look at the pickup. Just kind of theorizing here, right? Are you with me and focused? Okay. All right. Well, lose these cool little lock washers, nor these cool little appear to be chrome plated Phillips head screws. They look like they match each other. One's plated differently than the other. Alright, I'm not going to focus on that. Put that stuff in there for now. In fact, I don't even need this out right now. Well, let's just see. How does this measure? Come on, focus. I don't know what the deal is. I don't even think you could turn off autofocus on iPhone. Is it possible? Can I double tap? I can zoom. Let's just see if we can stay focused. All right. So we have north out on this magnet. And we have north out on this magnet. And my spidey senses tell me that they're fairly strong magnets. And they are oriented the proper way, and they're charged at least enough. I take a real reading to know what they're charged to. But they're charged at least enough that we can say the magnetic orientation and strength of the magnets is not the cause of the problem. There's a hint. Okay. Your insides are showing. Pick up. Coil is exposed entirely there. I don't see the rest of that. Maybe it's in here. Let's take an electrical reading. If this is anything other than nothing, I'll be surprised. And it is nothing. All right. Capacitive, 0.399 nanofarads. That meter isn't really the best meter to read capacitance. I mean, it is to read a capacitor, a working capacitor. It's great. It's actually extremely accurate. But for this, I would use an LCR meter that operates at AC. Remember that thing we just talked about? I have one, but we're not going to actually do the repair now. I know what the problem is. If it's passing sound at all, it's a break that is capacitively coupled.